With Gen AI, it just brought it to a stratospheric level.
It can have this outcome of an amplified human experience.
We're still a bit missing the mark. And I see other countries who are starting to invest massively in that. And, I'm a bit worried.
We all can, at the end of the day, work with each other with, let's say, less of the things that we don't like doing and more of the things that we like doing. That's moving in the right direction.
Hi, I'm Benoit Hardy-Vallée. I lead our workforce learning practice at Deloitte.
Hi, I'm Jaaj, Managing Partner of AI at Deloitte.
We're both here today to answer some big questions around Canada's future, explore the intersection between talent transformation and the opportunities of AI, and maybe even find a new dimension to global disruption. Jess, what's the biggest hurdle that Canadian businesses face when it comes to AI adoption?
You know what, Benoit, from my view, it is talent. Attracting the right talent so that you can build AI solutions and apply it in the context of whatever your industry is of paramount importance. And what we're observing is that Canadian businesses are struggling to attract the right talent when you look at the competing forces of big tech companies, other global organizations, let's say, that have much deeper pockets, that are able to attract talent, not only with higher compensation, but with more challenging projects, resources, computational capacity, data. That's a big thing that we need to solve for in Canada. And even though the government is making strides to be able to move in that direction, I think we should be doing more. But I wanted to ask you, what's the most important workforce trend that you've observed in the recent years?
You talk about talent, and I want to talk about skills. Close, but different. And I put the two arrows because on the one hand, you have people who want to get in the workforce, right? So it's the new generation, it's the new entrant in the country where sometimes we don't recognize their skill or competence, or we have sometimes outdated model for the kind of skills you need to do a job. So we don't necessarily think about the real skills, and sometimes we look at accreditation and certification and formal education. So there's a challenge getting into the Canadian skill pool. At the same time, at the other end of the spectrum, we're losing all of our experienced, senior, seasoned, skilled individuals. So before they leave, they need to also give back some of that learning to the workforce.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think the way in which the entire workforce philosophy is shifting from jobs to skills is going to be of paramount importance as we navigate this next era.
Yeah, and I think with Gen AI, it just brought it to a stratospheric level. We were all having this conversation 5 years ago, but since the tsunami, the conversation is now in every boardroom. Okay, now my next question for you, Jess. Do you think that Canada provides a friendly environment for AI startup and scale-ups to grow? And why?
Yes and no. There are certain things that the government has done in terms of incentive programs like SHRED as an example, which does give a lift to startups to be able to, I'll say, be competitive. But on the other side, I do feel there's a lot more that the government can do by providing, I'd say, access to startups with a strong domestic market, with first customers, so that startups can validate their product market fit at the right velocity. And I also feel certain things like being able to provide them access to international markets and reducing the friction that startups experience to be able to access those markets is something else the government can do. And also things like, frankly, foreign direct investment, right? When it comes to us being able to protect our IP, think about our national interests to safeguard the innovation that's happening in Canada, which does tend to leak. I think there's stuff that can be done there as well to support the startups thrive in the Canadian economy.
Yeah. Jess, we talked about talent before. How can company attract top-tier AI talent?
Provide challenging problems to AI professionals so that they can sink their teeth into solving them.
Yeah.
And the additional component over and above, let's say, giving talent challenging problems to solve is also enabling them and empowering them to be able to execute on that, which means that resources like computational capacity, resources like the data that they would need in order to actually solve these problems, giving them environments, platforms to be able to actually do this. All of that adds up at the end of the day to be able to create those conditions in which talent can thrive. Now, obviously, things like compensation, the benefits and all that matters, but I do feel that if you actually pose a situation where you give them really interesting problems to sink their teeth into, that goes a long way in terms of helping talent thrive.
I would say maybe another one would be the mission.
Yes.
What is your AI for? Because if you're solving sustainability or poverty or global issues,
yes,
I think that's another way to make it challenging,
yes,
for the same amount of dollars.
I think that's a great point. And to kind of add to that, if companies can focus on their brand, the brand that they want individuals to associate themselves with in this purpose-driven world that we are in, I think that can go a long way to add to some of the things that I mentioned earlier as well. Are higher education institutions in Canada teaching the right skills to develop AI talent of tomorrow?
Question mark. It's a very Canadian answer. Not
yes.
Yes, not no. It depends. Look, I think we're giving our population a good foundation. I'm a product of that system. I'd like to think that I have the foundation, but did I have to learn a lot more in the marketplace and the workplace? Absolutely. Could some of that have been provided to us early on? How to think digitally, how to have those skills that are adjacent to AI and technology, just so that it's a bit easier. It's like when you learn one language and you have another language that's close enough. If you speak French, Spanish feels a bit closer, English, German, there's these commonalities. So if we can think about this tiling of these skills and have something that's generic to cover the whole population, all the future workers, but then give them a ledge so that they can step into AI and programming and all that. Because I think at this point, we're still a bit missing the mark. And I see other countries who are starting to invest massively in that. And, I'm a bit worried in the long run.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I do feel also that if you can create the right partnerships with businesses, with industry, to be able to get insights in terms of what are the experiences and skills that are in demand that business can really benefit from. I think that's the other ingredient that I feel that institutions can benefit from, to tailor their programs so that it'll resonate in a way as well. Next question for you is, do businesses have a clear idea of what skills their employees need to effectively use AI?
A puzzle.
Oh.
You are trying to figure out the skills you have and the skills you need. These two questions evolve almost in real time. Yeah. The marketplace is so big, it's so dynamic. If we look at a lot of the research, very little of all the organization would say, we have a handle on our skills, we know exactly what we have. So let's say that there's a third that know it really well, a third have really no idea, and a third are getting better. The good thing though is that I think everybody realize it. It's not just some marketing or vague thought leadership. Everybody realized that it is a skill economy, and everybody is working toward it, both on the technology and on the business process of understanding and closing the skill gap. But for many employers, they still don't have that visibility, which again, I think now with AI tool, we can fast track that. Because it used to be a manual and laborious process. Now you can look at your LinkedIn profile, your past activity system can infer your level of skills. So I think if you ask me this question in 5 years, the response will be different.
Yeah, I think the point is bang on in that you can actually use AI to effectively train your staff on the, I'll say, competencies and skills that you need to be able to thrive in the AI environment, right? So it's a bit of a force multiplier in a way that if used well and if used in the right way, you can actually use that as a way to address some of the challenges that you've been experiencing from a training program perspective.
Now, my favorite question.
Yes.
What are you most excited about when you think about the future of people working alongside AI?
In one word, experience. If AI is used in the right way, it can have this outcome of an amplified human experience.
Yeah.
And that's what, at the end of the day, this is all about. We're not here to use technology for the sake of technology. It needs to be used in a purposeful way so that our experience becomes better as a result of it. Where, as an example, if there are certain mundane administrative tasks that, are a drain, are like I'll say an energy suck, we can offload that to AI and get some of that capacity back so that we can focus on things that really energize us. Yeah. Right? The creative problems or the relationship management, that's where our potential and our energy can really be amplified.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say in terms of what I look forward to is that if we can mindfully apply AI in areas to be able to get to that outcome, so that we all can, at the end of the day, work with each other with, let's say, less of the things that we don't like doing and more of the things that we like doing, that's moving in the right direction.
And we see that happening already in some occupation, from call centers. I was working with recruiters where they do less of the interview scheduling, the skill matching, all that was manual. Now they have technology that do that, but they're not replaced.
Yeah.
They can focus on building a relationship with the hiring managers, with the different candidates. So this idea, we're seeing it happening. It's not just an empty dream.
Thanks for joining us. When it comes to the intersection of AI and talent, there's more than one dimension to the challenges Canada is facing. Business and organizations are at significant crossroads. With that choice comes immense potential. We're excited to uncover the opportunities in this new age of innovation.